Hello and welcome to Money Markets and More with me, Dominic Frisby, coming to you today from the exotic Galapagos Islands out in the Eastern Pacific, where two stories of energy initiatives reflect the broader realities of dumb energy policy around the world. And I tell these stories with a specific question in mind. How much gas, so to speak, is left in the tank of this energy bull market? So the Galapagos population is only around about 30,000, but as a fully functioning society, the same dynamics observed in this smaller ecosystem occur elsewhere, even if less visibly. So it serves as a useful case study. So here's the first of the two stories, and we'll call it Not Such Green Transport in the Galapagos. So in order to limit traffic on the environment and protect the environment in this most ecologically delicate of places and protect the taxi industry, the local government made it extremely difficult to get a vehicle licence. All sorts of problematic bureaucratic hurdles had to be jumped, and most people ended up using bikes or public transport. But then in 2016, the powers that be, with a brighter, greener future in mind, decided that anyone could get a licence to own a vehicle no permit required, as long as it was an electric vehicle. And there was just one condition: the buyer had to have a family. Now, given that most people on the islands, even the single people, have relations, that was a pretty easy condition to meet, even for the single folk. Sorry if I keep looking down, it's actually quite difficult to walk here, so bear with me. But there was a great deal of PR and fanfare about this new initiative, clean, green, sustainable, all that stuff. And a blind eye was turned to the increase in traffic, the increase in roadkill to the many tame birds on the island. It's a major problem. And there was the initiative in place. Now, at this point, it's worth remembering that around the world, there are three main areas of energy consumption: transportation, heating, and electricity. And while cleaner forms of energy, such as nuclear or wind, might be increasing as sources of electricity, 84% of global energy still derives from the burning of fossil fuels. And that's a stat from Our World in Data. And even electricity, despite its green credentials, just that one subsector of energy, still relies on the burning of fossil fuels. The burning of fossil fuel may be out of sight and therefore out of mind, but over 60% of global electricity still derives from burning fossil fuel. Wind and solar, between them, account for barely 10%. And as we're all discovering to our cost, despite many years of considerable investment, some might say overinvestment, in green energy, there have simultaneously been many years of underinvestment in fossil fuel exploration and extraction. Also in nuclear, the use of which in electricity has on a relative basis amazingly been declining since the 1990s, and also a lack of investment in public grids, hence the current energy shortages, especially in Europe. And the Galapagos Islands, it's difficult to say Galapagos and walk over these rocks at the same time, they followed the international trend in this regard, and that's why they make such an interesting case study. Here in the Galapagos, the majority of electricity, despite what you may read, is produced by burning diesel. And so at this point, we deviate to the other story, the story of the Galapagos wind turbines. Once upon a time, some wind turbines were built by a consortium of overseas energy corporations looking to advertise their green credentials to the world. And these corporations, they conducted a one-year study of wind on the island and concluded that next to the airport, where they would also conveniently be seen by everyone arriving at or leaving the islands, was the best place to erect the turbines. And the turbines were duly installed, the publicity was had. You know, here's the world's first airport that runs 100% on wind and solar, all that kind of stuff. And then the energy companies retired back to their nation states. Now, it turned out that the year of that study had been an outlier for winds on the islands, and they hadn't built the turbines in anything like the windiest spot. And then the wind turbines stopped working. But nobody on the islands knew how to fix them, nor was it clear whose responsibility they were. And ever since, the turbines have sat there stuck, even when the wind is blowing up a storm. As you can see by my friend Claudine's hair, it is very windy, and you can probably hear it's windy in the microphone. And now we turn, oh blimey, it's windy. And there are the windmills, all turning in the wind. And if you ask a local for the story, you'll get a wry shake of a head and a smile at the stupidity of it all. But Lord knows how much fossil fuel was burnt mining the necessary materials, manufacturing the turbines, transporting them to the islands and erecting them only for them not to work. But that is, despite the good intention, what's happened. And today they sit motionless like statues from a fallen empire. The wind blows, they don't turn. But how do you get rid of them? They're so big. So the whole episode is neither clean, green, nor sustainable. So, back to this attempt to make the islands greener with electric vehicles, EVs. With the easing of regulation in 2016, all the locals who'd previously wanted a vehicle but couldn't get one, which was a lot, they piled in and bought electric vehicles, much to the benefit of the electric vehicle manufacturers. But as diesel is the major source of electricity on the islands, so more diesel than ever was now burnt. Again, neither clean nor green. In fact, so much diesel got burnt and so much electricity was consumed that the shortcomings of the grid and the lack of investment therein were exposed. Power outages soon followed, multiple and regular. And the power outages got so bad that just 3 years after the electric vehicle fanfare, in 2019, a moratorium on electric vehicles was discreetly declared. No fanfare this time. And the islands went back to their old ways. Now, I cannot help thinking that the West is travelling a similar path. As consumers, encouraged by the green credentials, adopt more electric vehicles, has there been a concomitant investment in power grids to meet the new demand? In many, dare I say most countries, there hasn't. What proportion of this rising new electricity demand will entail more burning of fossil fuel, coal especially? And will there be power outages as a result? It's stupid to expect us to consume less energy. As civilizations progress, they consume more energy. They also get better at consuming energy. A civilization that consumes less energy is a civilization in recession and decline. We only have the civilizations that we have because of fossil fuels and the extraordinary amount of energy they provide. We should not be advocating the consumption of less energy, but advocating the better and more efficient consumption of energy. And that means less waste. It also means we have to invest in the exploration and production of fossil fuels. Now, I'm sorry, but the government around the world, they are the biggest sources of waste there is. People operating in a free market where profit and loss are a thing, it makes you more efficient. How is the developing world to pull out of poverty without the benefits of fossil fuels? It's like being in a tree house and going, here we are up here and you're down there and we're pulling up the ladder and you can't use fossil fuels. That treehouse analogy comes from my friend Dominic English, by the way. It's a wonderful metaphor. Now, the International Energy Agency, the IEA, forecast in 2020 in its World Energy Outlook that growth in global oil demand will only end in 10 years, and that global natural gas demand growth might stop around 2040. So those two landmark years, 2030 and 2040, are not when we are forecast to stop using oil and gas, just when the demand for them stops increasing, and they're probably optimistic forecasts. That means to meet demand, not only do we have to maintain oil and gas production at current levels, we have to increase them, or prices will go a lot higher. And that means greater investment in coal, oil and gas is required. And that means that this bull market is far from over. The whole narrative needs to change, and it's slowly starting to do that. There have been at least 10 years of underinvestment in coal, oil and gas, partly because of the excesses of the last secular bull market and all the losses that followed, but partly, in fact mainly, because of the powerful anti-fossil fuel story. That now needs to be corrected. There's also now a strong case for reversion to traditional auto manufacturers as opposed to the likes of Tesla, but that's a subject for another day. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video in this fantastic setting. Please subscribe to the channel. Please subscribe to my Substack. Here's some view of the islands. Thanks very much for watching. As I said, I'll be back with another video very soon. And one last thing to say, just I'm sort of turning around so you can enjoy these views. If you are in, oh, there's a plane flying over. If you are in, or it's not that green, if you're in London on November the 24th, it's because the airport's just over there on the other side of that canal. Those are tiger-infested waters apparently behind me. On November 24th, wearing my comedy hat, I'm doing a gig with the Gilets Jaunes, that's my band, at Crazy Coq's in Piccadilly Circus, underneath Brasserie Zedel. It's a fantastic venue for my kind of musical comedy. It's going to be a great night. Please come on down. And if that one sells out, there's only about 20 tickets left. If that one sells out, I'm doing another with the Gilets Jaunes at Comedy Unleashed on December the 16th in Camden. And I'll put a link to both of them in the description. And that's a Christmas knees up. It's going to be a great night. In the meantime, thanks very much for watching. Sorry about that, I got cut off there. I was just saying thank you very much for watching. And ooh, it's very exciting. Where am I going to be next?